Okay, honey. So I've been preparing this little interview with you, and I just wanted to ask you a few questions, and feel free to answer them as truthfully as you feel comfortable, okay?
Yep.
So the first question is, when you first met me, did you ever have anything stick out to you as odd or strange in my behaviors?
When I first met you, no, I wouldn't say really. I mean, you seemed to be into your routine. Like, we had a routine set up. You basically came on weekends, and I don't really know how to describe it. It's just, you seem to be settled into a routine that you like to keep, like your bedtime and time to go home, and if you're away from home for too long, and you seem just a little
Compulsive?
I don't want to use the word anxious. I used to think of it as like nervousness, but I wouldn't really say it was strange.
Okay.
But thinking about the routine now, I think it makes a bit of sense.
Okay. So the next question is, why did it take you so long to admit to yourself that I needed professional help after my mom's stroke?
That's a pretty simple reasoning. It's kind of like, you love somebody, you care about somebody, you have pride in somebody, and you don't want them to be sick. You don't want to believe it. You want to, like, play it down. Plus, it's hard to see. Like, bipolar, it's not like you have a blotch on your skin that you can see it, so I just didn't want to believe my wife was abnormal, I guess. Like, I loved her and I thought she was perfect the way she was, and I don't know, I guess just didn't want to accept it at the time.
What is the hardest part about being married to someone who has bipolar?
The hardest part
For you?
for me is the everyday joy that it steals away. Like, when I'm relaxed or bored or I have nothing on my mind, I could just, like, sit here and, maybe not be in the best mood, but I'm not in a bad mood either. And it'd be nice if you were bored also, for example, if I could just, like, throw my arm around you and just, like, casually talk about, oh, we're really bored, what are we gonna do? Where it's like you feel like anxiousness because your brain will start racing right away in a situation like that. So just like the everyday joy of being able to relax and always having to plan around everything so much. And then I guess to top it off is just any time that you become manic and things get directed at me. It's always been a struggle over the years, and I've gotten better at it, but just not to take things personally. Just understanding the way bipolar works and the frustration, and just trying to understand the frustration you're feeling and deal with that. So yeah, that's the hardest part.
Are there certain things now that I do that you consider extreme or maybe out of the ordinary?
There's all kinds of things you do now that are extreme and out of the ordinary from what I'm used to. Your reactions to just everyday things and questions can seem so intense. The way you can get confused about something when you're angry. The way you're just very fidgety all the time if you're not, like, biting your nails or using the nail clippers or playing with your hair or doing something to keep yourself busy. Like, I see that nervousness all the time. It's out of the ordinary. Yeah, I mean, the list goes on.
Um, what do you love about me so much that it outweighs my illness to you?
What? Well, I mean, for starts, I remember who you are. You know, like I remember my wife, my fiance, my girlfriend, my I don't know what it was when we started, but I remember everything from then up until. I have a really good memory, and it's very easy to see you when you're, even if you're angry all the time and you have like a really bad week and our relationship gets strained to the max. Like, I always remember the girl inside you, and it's not just like, oh, that's a memory of who she was. I mean, you're always popping out, sometimes more than others. And I mean, when your mother had her stroke and your bipolar manifested and got worse, you know, it became harder, but that girl's always been there, and she's really easy to love. And it even makes you take things less for granted, because of the emotions you're battling all the time. When you do something small for me and it's like a memory, something that you used to do for me maybe more often, it just makes me feel really good. So it's easy to love you. It's not hard.
If you had the power to cure my illness, would you?
Absolutely. I know that probably, I don't want to say you feel differently, but I don't think you have the same thought thing that I do about it. It just has to go. If it could go, it's not even a question. It has to go. It's like the amount of importance I could put behind it going. It'd be, if I had to go against your will to get it done, that'd be like a difficult choice. Like, say for example, you didn't want to be cured and there was a cure, and I'm like, I would do everything in my power to convince you. You know, like, I talked to your brother today, and he has bipolar too, and we were talking about instances of you and him and whatever, and I was just like, man, mental illness is so serious. And he's like, yeah, man, it fucking sucks. And that's the truth. Like, your brother is so medicated. He's so chill out. He's so different from you. Like, talking to him is completely different. So I feel like he's more rational about it. Where he's like, yeah, it sucks. It'd be amazing to feel normal. But the thing is, like, you guys really, you don't know what it's like to feel normal. You don't know what it's like to be able to just sit here like this and just be like, whatever. Not have a care in the world, drift off into the wall and just be like, whatever, I'm bored. You don't know what it's like to be like that. So yeah, I'd absolutely cure it so you could know, and once you did know, then you would feel the same way, because you would want to feel the way we normal people feel. Absolutely.
When I was in the mental health ward, how hard was that for you to deal with?
That was, oh man. I could sit here and say, oh, that's one of the hardest things I've ever gone through in my life. Absolutely. It would make the top of the list, but it depends on which way you think about it. I mean, the emotional turmoil at that point was just so insane. Like, the day we had agreed the night before that, I wanted you to go to the hospital, and there was just so much going on in our marriage and so much strain, and you being unhealthy at the time, and it just emotionally was just devastating. And then you have this little window in the entire day where I get to come and visit you and see you, and it's like, maybe even just I got a glimpse of what it felt like to be you for a second, to feel so alone, and to sit there and be home with the baby, and mom's not there, my wife's not there. I don't know where our marriage is going at that point. It was absolutely insane. I'm glad I had the strength to fight through it and not break down though.
Before you met me, did you ever know anyone else in your life who had a mental illness?
No. I went to a high school that had a program for what we called retards at the time, but they're mentally handicapped or mentally challenged, and there was probably about 7 of them. 6 of them were pretty severe, and the 7th one was a little bit more functional than the rest. And then I knew a guy who had muscular dystrophy, which is not a mental illness, but that's like the extremes of people I knew that weren't normal.
Did you know anything about bipolar before you met me?
Nothing. To be honest, I never even heard it used as a slang to describe people's personalities. It is a totally new world to me. It is all alien, and that also might have added to why it was hard to accept, not even understanding what the hell it is and what the hell's going on. But I've learned a lot from all, the books you've read and talked to me about and explained to me things, and yeah.
Lately you've been saying that I've been doing a good job of resetting. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Resetting is going from one state of emotions to another as quickly as possible, trying to forget whatever instance of events had just happened so that you could reset your day, start fresh, like almost as if like you just woke up. Could you just repeat the question again? 'Cause I'm not done.
Lately you've been saying that I've been doing a good job of resetting. Can you just explain what you mean by that?
Right, so when I say that you do a good job resetting, yeah, I guess you have been improving, but more or less it's like in the past I didn't notice it as much. It's like a conversation we had in the car where I always kind of felt like I was resetting better than you, but the problem was like I would be able to reset, but then like all my frustration and venting would still be showing, so I wasn't fully resetting, and it would always trigger you. Whereas when you reset, and I don't know how much of it has to do with your illness, it's like poof. It's like it's like you could be sitting there like in the worst place, and then a second later you'd be like upbeat and saying something, and then like I would notice that I wouldn't respond. I'd still be like in a state of lethargic depression. And I'd be like, where'd that even come from? And it's made me realize that you reset like, you go from one to the other faster than I could ever even blink. It just made me realize that it takes me a bit of time, and I adjust because you're better at it than I am. So yeah, you're good at resetting.
The last question that I wrote down is, if our daughter grows up and has a type of mental illness, in a way, would you blame me for that illness?
No. That's just silly. Why would I blame you? If you don't believe in God, it's the luck of the draw. Deal with it. You don't live in a fair world, and you're going to have to deal with whatever the dice throw at you. I'm a bit different. I believe in God. And it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I've been put on this planet for a purpose, and I've always felt like that's to take care of my family. It's something that I dreamed of since I was a teenager. I wanted a family. I got to an age where I never thought I'd have one. I'd kind of given up on women, and things change. We're a family. We have a baby, and yeah, it's all good.
Okay, well, thank you for doing this interview with me.
That's no problem at all.
I love you.
Sorry, I just felt like I didn't finish answering that question.
Sorry, you can continue if you have something else to say.
Just to touch on that, it's just like I don't have that fear. Like I don't live my life through fear. It's like I'm not concerned, and if things do happen, you kind of just roll with the punches. There's plans for everything. There's a lot of bad things that happen in my life, and I'm old enough to know that they happen for a reason. I met my wife under the most bizarre, incredible circumstances, and that's a story for another day. But I mean, mathematically it just shouldn't have happened, and it did. So don't worry about stuff like that, and it's not anybody's fault. It's things happen to us, and that's the world we live in. You got to deal with it one way or another. Sorry, I think I'm done.
Alright, well, until next time, everyone, remember to stay strong and you're never alone.